Okay, so we are here with Bachelor star LaNease Adams. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today.
Thank you for having me, Taylor. So happy to be here and talk all things Bachelor.
Yes, I'm so love you. So I would love to jump right in and discuss your emotional and mental health journey following your time on The Bachelor. I also want to say thank you so much for being so open and honest about it. So can you discuss with us the low points that you faced following your time on the show?
Absolutely. I did not expect what all was to come after The Bachelor. You know, I had been acting, so I had been on TV. I didn't think that this would be any different, but it was different because this show premiered to 20 million people, unlike anything I had ever done. So literally overnight, the day I stepped outside of my door after the show aired, lots of people wanted to say hello, and that was quite different. It started to raise a little bit of anxiety, but it started off pretty good, and then I started to deal with the racial backlash of some white people who didn't think that I was good enough for The Bachelor because I was Black. And growing up in LA, I had not experienced that. I guess I was sort of naive. In my growing up, I had white friends, Asian friends, Black friends. But in some parts of the world, they don't see it like that. So I started to go through a depression that was based on just not really feeling good about myself anymore. I started to second guess everything that I thought that I knew. It was like, well, am I less than? And is this wrong? And so it was just so much at one time that I ended up falling into a depression. And I was talking to someone and they had offered me something to relax me, which happened to be, some medication. And that sort of took all the pain away. And that is how I sort of spiraled into wanting to just check out for a bit. I stopped eating and I ended up, my breaking point, my bottom was at the hospital. My mom had to take me to the hospital. And it was there that I realized I was alone and that, I had put all of these people's opinions ahead of my opinion of myself. And when I was in the hospital, practically knocking on death's door, none of those people were there with me. Wow. It was just me and God. And that's when I realized, I got to take control of my own life and I've got to not put other people's opinions ahead of myself. And that was the journey to get out of that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being so real about that, because I know other people of course, everyone in the world can deal with depression, but it's not talked about as much as it needs to be. And thank you.
It's not. And one of the reasons why I thought that it might be good to speak about it is because as I was going through all of that, I remember reading about some certain celebrities that had spoken out about addiction issues or depression issues, and they were doing great. And so that helped me, just gave me a little bit of hope that, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. So maybe I'll be able to be hope for someone else that reads about the story.
Absolutely. 100%. And so what advice would you have for those who escalate to fame so quickly? Going from, not being known to the public to now being like a whole household name. What advice would you have for them?
Well, my advice would be to, know who you are. Know who you are before, know your purpose. I had to reevaluate, what's my purpose here in life? It's not just, you don't just want to be famous, quote unquote, but I want to be a bright light in the world. I want to share joy. So I think it's helpful if you have a purpose, then your whys for doing things. So like they say, if you know what you stand for, or if you don't know what you stand for, you'll fall for anything. So yeah. Just know what you stand for, and that'll always keep you strong.
I love that. Absolutely. Know what you stand for. I love that.
Yeah.
So you recently spoke out about the racist comments. You kind of touched on that a little bit that you received following The Bachelor and how that significantly affected your depression. So, what guidance would you have for us that we can be better and do better so that racism and cyberbullying can be a more accurate conversation that can actually make change?
Well, I think the cyberbullying has got to stop. I mean, I think that because we're not in front of someone directly, we can be reckless with our words and we'll say things that we wouldn't necessarily say to someone in person. But the thing is, people are reading that and taking it in. And so I think we should be more cognizant of the things we write, just like we are of the things that we say. And I think that, these are obviously thoughts that people were having. And I think it's good to open up the conversation with our children, with our young people, or if, we have adults in our family that hold those racist views, the ones who don't, we have to be the ones to open up that conversation and say, hey, that's not right. So I think it takes us to stand up to people, even if we love them, and in a loving way, just say, come on, like, we're all in this together. We're all on this same sphere, and let's make it good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Stand up. I like that. Not just with The Bachelor, but can you tell us some of the challenges that come with dealing with fame?
For the most part, what I found is that the most important thing is to just have a strong sense of self, which I did not have. I didn't know that I didn't have it, but especially if you're in the public eye, you can't get away from not having it. And I think that's why we see celebrities get caught into drug addiction or alcohol and all of these crazy things. And I think it's just because there's no calmness there, no strong sense of self. So that's important.
Right. And how did you find your strong sense of self?
Well, I had to start from the bottom. I realized that, because my dad died when I was 1 year old and my mom was a teenager when she had me. Growing up, I just did not have a strong foundation at all. And I didn't know that. Thankfully, I had a good education. So I was book smart, but I had to read a lot of books. I ended up going to this 24-hour bookstore here in Santa Monica one night as I was just trying to find myself. And I found a book called The Art of Worldly Wisdom. And that book helped me so much. It was 300 maxims about life. And it sort of helped me just figure out how to see things that I'm experiencing. And so I found just rules about life. And so I read a lot of books. I started journaling. I got to know myself. I found some self-love that I didn't have. And that just changed everything.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. So now on a more exciting note, you recently released a new web series.
Yes.
Called The Misadventures of Katherine. So can you tell us about the meaning behind the title and the concept behind the series?
Absolutely. So The Misadventures of Katherine is just a brainchild that I had about this girl who's going through life and something weird is always happening to her. And actually, the first episode is kind of based on a true story because I know someone who works as a notary, and she told me a story that she went to do a notary, and the couple's parrot started saying obscene words while she was doing the notary.
Oh my God.
And it just and it made everything super crazy. So when I started to write this series, I wanted to put that in there. And so it's just going to be little ways to make people laugh about the crazy things that happen in life.
That's really cool. That's fun. And where can you see the series?
That is at the Misadventures of Katherine.com.
Awesome. And how often are you putting out new episodes?
Well, we just put out our first episode last week, and I have an idea for the second one, but it's kind of, we'll see how it goes because of COVID. We had planned to start shooting and getting them in the can, but because of COVID, it takes a lot longer. But I'm hoping every couple of weeks to put something out, and then I blast it on Instagram, I blast it on Facebook, and so people can just kind of get a laugh in.
Like following your love of film, you're really focused on that right now, and you created a short titled Heaven's Revenge. So what is the film about, and where can it be viewed?
Yes, Taylor. So you have to check this out, okay? It's at heavensrevenge.com. It's the story about a girl who did not want to fall in love. She told the guy, look, I don't want to fall in love. He said, you have to do this. Just give me a chance. And she did. And then the next thing you know, he breaks her heart. And she did not take that laying down. So she got the ultimate revenge on him. And I just basically take one for the team for all the ladies. Okay. So that's at heavensrevenge.com.
Awesome. No, I feel like it's so relatable. So I feel like especially all the ladies need to definitely go check that out.
Exactly. I get to do what you may think about doing to, a guy who does you wrong.
Okay, yeah. That's so funny. So coming out of a relationship, you felt it was appropriate timing to move forward and speak about your experience on The Bachelor. So one of your first major interviews was with Women's Health magazine. So what was the reaction you got from that piece?
Well, I didn't expect that piece to be, so big, but because they were re-airing season 1 of The Bachelor, I got a call asking for, hey, what was your experience like? And when I told them what happened, it ended up that they did the whole story, and People magazine picked it up, and all of these other outlets picked it up because I guess it was just really shocking to people.
That's great. And we talked about this a little earlier, but people don't feel like they have someone they can relate to, and especially when you are in the public eye, and people see people in the public eye as just the glamour part.
Yeah.
It's really reassuring to people that you are human, you are dealing with the same things, regardless of how extravagant or not your lifestyle is. We're all still human.
Absolutely. And even there was people who I had kind of grown up with who thought, oh, because she's on TV now, her life is so amazing. And they actually started to be kind of mean to me. And what they didn't realize was that I was going through a lot, and that even just kind of made it worse. People think, and I have celebrity friends too, and I'm always going kind of the extra mile with them to be kind and to ask how they're doing, because sometimes people think that your life is perfect and it's not necessarily the truth.
Well, I think a part of being in the public eye too is putting on a persona that everything is okay. For people, it's watch TV or watch movies because you can escape from that maybe depression or that reality. So you always, you have to be on all the time.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Social media obviously can be a burden, but it can be great so that you can use that and your platform to be able to talk about it, and people can see you for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. And also, so you were the first kiss on the first ever season of The Bachelor.
Yeah.
So hear about the show, and how did you get on it?
Well, I had done a lot of dating shows back then. I was young, and I liked to do dating shows. They were kind of fun, and they would pay you a little bit of cash. And as a struggling actress, it's like, why not? And the casting people used to like to have me on because I was a little funny and just I said what was on my mind. So when they were looking to cast The Bachelor, I hadn't heard about it, but I got a call from a casting director friend who's like, LaNease, I think you'd be great for this show. You should go down. So I went down there and I did an interview. And because I also date outside of my race, I think we all just thought, okay, this could work. I think they liked me. And I was up to meet this guy, and they showed it. I don't remember if they showed us a picture of him or someone with his body type, but they were like, would you be attracted to this kind of guy? And I'm like, oh yeah.
Is it hard to act natural with all those cameras around? And
I think we got used to it rather quickly. You kind of just forget that they're there. So yeah, it all felt natural to me, even, from talking to the girls to, that first kiss. That was all, it all felt super just natural.
yeah, that's cool to know, because I'm sure for some people it would be a little weird having time and like making out with this guy.
Yeah, especially when they run up and get close to you, like they're like, oh, there's some action.
Is it hard to keep a romantic moment romantic when they do things like that?
Well, no, that was still pretty romantic. I think after a while you sort of block them out, I think there's an adjustment period, and once you get adjusted, you just forget that they're there, and they even tell you to do that too.
Right. That's cool. That's cool to know the inside scoop on that. Another
Yeah.
thing you're really passionate about is fitness. So why is staying active good for you, not only physically but mentally as well?
Well, yeah, one thing I discovered about myself that I didn't know, before I went through everything was, I have a lot of energy. My mind's always going and I'm always thinking. And one way to really calm myself down and to become just connected to my thoughts is working out. And so since I found that out about myself, if I'm feeling stressed, I'll go for a nice hike or a run. I'll listen to some music.
And to end, what projects do you have coming up in the near future?
Well, right now, my web series is what I'm working on, The Misadventures of Katherine. And I just auditioned for a project about a couple of days ago that I'm hoping that moves forward too. Because of COVID, we don't really know exactly when things are going to be opening up. So I'm just focusing on writing my web series, putting some fun stuff on social media, and doing marketing for my film Heaven's Revenge. I'm still doing marketing on that, just so more and more people can see it.
Awesome. By the way, I love the roses in the background.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a portrait that I did, and I had it blown up into a canvas. It's real flowers.
Oh my God, that's amazing. Great. Okay.
Thank you, Taylor.
Fun random questions. So let's get to it. So what is your favorite midnight snack?
Oh, these days I'm into trail mix. It's like, yeah, and it's got to be the one with the chocolate in it.
Okay.
So I'll go and grab a handful of trail mix with almonds, chocolate, peanuts, all of that.
Yeah, that sounds so good. The chocolate makes sense because I feel like at midnight you're not looking for a healthy snack. It's a little healthy.
No. Gotta have the chocolate. Yeah.
And who is your childhood celebrity crush?
Ooh, okay. Well, I was obsessed with Janet Jackson, but not in a crush kind of way because I am straight. I loved New Kids on the Block back then, and I think his name was Joey. I think I liked Joey from New Kids on the Block, and then I went to like Tom Cruise.
Okay. That's great.
I loved Tom Cruise. I was like, oh my God, he is just so hot.
Love it. That's so good. And what are 3 things that you never leave the house without?
Well, I mean, if it's COVID related, never without my mask. But I do my makeup every day. So I never leave the house without my makeup done because it makes me feel better. And water. I always have a tall thing of water with me because I'm just always super thirsty.
Yeah. Well, water's just good regardless.
Yeah. I gotta have my water.
Absolutely. And one more. Do you have one more?
And let's see, what else do I? And I would say my lip gloss, or is makeup included in that?
Sure.
My cell phone. My cell phone.
I was like waiting for it. I was like,
My cell phone, yes, my makeup done, and my water.
I love it. Thank you so much, LaNease Adams, for sitting down with us, and we can't wait to see all your future projects that you have coming up.
Thank you for having me, Taylor. This was so fun.